Heather Roy.
Mr Speaker, I stand to rise to speak to this first reading of the Building Amendment Act on behalf of the ACT Party. I have to say the speaker before me did seem to be struggling to fill his 10 minutes, and it seems that the summary of it is this is actually not such a bad bill, but I had to say something negative because it wasn't his government speaking. We think that this is a very good bill, Mr Speaker. It will make a number of changes to the Building Act to improve its productivity, its efficiency and its accountability, and those things, Mr Speaker, are things that should always be strived for. The amendments will exempt a broader range of low-risk building work from consenting requirements, which will in fact free things up significantly in the building sector, and that is well needed at the moment. It will also require building contractors to disclose more information to enable building consumers to be better informed, to make better informed decisions. And this too, of course, is very important. I don't think the criticism was valid about the leaky homes. I think this government is taking leaky homes very seriously, and perhaps, yes, the Labour government didn't do a great deal. I sat on one of the select committees that heard one of the bills, and in fact, if they had been listening to the debate on the prior bill, I think they will find that the minister involved is fully engaged with this matter and has taken the cause on very passionately, and few could actually criticise his approach or what it is that he was trying to achieve. And in fact, I did sit through his speech, and it was an excellent speech. Mr Speaker, the ACT Party is fully supporting this bill. We look forward to it going to Select Committee, where of course it will have proper examination in a great deal of detail by those committee members.
Rahui Katini.
Mr Speaker, I'm pleased to stand to speak about the Building Amendment Bill number 3 on behalf of the Māori Party. And I find it very interesting that the general policy statement for this bill in part says change is needed to provide incentives for building professionals and tradespeople to take responsibility for the quality of their work and to stand behind it. And I think this is really sad that in this time that we do need to pass legislation to make sure that people will stand behind the quality of their work and take responsibility for it. I remember that back in the late 1980s, our family bought our first new home. It was built on iwi land, and it was built by Māori Affairs trainees. It was not what you'd call a flash home. It cost us $80,000 in those days, and we had to take out a mortgage of that stood at about 18% interest at that stage. It rose at one stage to 24% interest. So it was very expensive. But what we found was that after we moved in, the first storm that we had actually lifted part of the roof, and I walked into one of the rooms and there was water pouring down the wall. So we had to get the insurance people to come in and check it all out and get the builders back to re-roof the building. Remember, this is only just after it had been built, when we first moved in, and this was long before the leaky buildings scandal. In the late 1990s, about 10 years later, we actually moved into our next new home, and that was a lot more upmarket. In fact, it was built by a registered master builder who did stand behind his work and who was fantastic, did fantastic work, and in fact he lived just down the road from us when we first moved in, and used to make lots of excuses to pop in and actually check out his workmanship and to look around and to make sure that it was holding up. And this was something that we felt very comfortable with, because we knew that he cared about the quality of his workmanship, that he cared about the quality of the building, and that he cared about the people that were living in his buildings. So it was that was very good. And he did not have to have a building act, a Building Amendment Act or anything like that to force him to do this. But We realise that times have changed. We realise that there are cowboys out there still, and we realise that some people will only act when the heavy arm of the law is actually resting upon their shoulder. So, although it is regrettable, we do support this bill to Select Committee.